Sydney, and today I'm going to be talking about the 1983 film Christine.
Her name's Christine.
This film is based off of the Stephen King novel by the same title as well, and this movie actually came out the same year that the book came out because production companies were basically like,
yo, Stephen King is like popping right now.
And so they basically got a hold of it and were like, we're making a movie. This film was directed by the super legendary John Carpenter, and it is also starring Keith Gordon, John Stockwell, and Alexandra Paul. So for real though, like as a kid I saw this movie and I loved Keith Gordon. I don't know why, I just thought he was so cute and charming, and like, I know he ends up being a tool in the film, but I was just like, oh, yeah, I really liked him. This film follows Arnie and his best friend Dennis, who go to Rockbridge High School. Arnie purchases a rundown 1958 Plymouth Fury.
Her name's Christine.
Over time, Arnie and Christine form a really aggressive, protective bond with one another. Christine seems to portray lifelike characteristics. Arnie's newfound confidence pushes away the people around him.
Oh, fuck you. I'm fixing up Christine.
And Christine begins to threaten the lives of the people in Arnie's life. How far will those who love Arnie go to save him from Christine and himself? So the real star of this movie is truly the car, the 1958 Plymouth Fury. Stephen King chose this model specifically because he considered it a forgotten car compared to like the Thunderbirds of the 50s that were really hyped up and kind of already had a lot of legend associated with them. I actually got to see one of the cars that was used in the film at Peterson Automotive Museum in LA. According to the DVD documentary, about 28 Plymouth Furies were purchased for the film, but some of them were actually Belvederes or Savoys, which I don't know anything about cars, so a few of the cars were showcase cars, meaning that collectors had bought these cars and kept them really nice condition. And these cars were used for the scenes in the movie where the car was pretty much just at standstill, like in the garage. And you can tell that these ones are the showcase ones because under the grille, beneath the bumper, they're gonna have a chrome grille. While the ones that are like the stunt cars, they have a red paint. This car became so iconic, it ended up appearing in several other Stephen King films later. The most fascinating one to me is it appears in Cujo. When the car appears in Cujo, it actually has a bumper sticker that reads, "Watch out, I am pure evil, I am Christine." And then there's another bumper sticker that says "Rock and roll will never die," which is a reference to a song in the movie. But I was like, what the heck? That's like so not even subliminal. It's straight up like,
I am Christine.
Other movies that Christine appears in casually, a little bit more subtly, are The Stand, Cat's Eye, and It. So this film, like I said, was directed by John Carpenter, and amazingly enough, it was filmed in the same neighborhood that he made the movie Halloween in. Some people like to kind of have a conspiracy that they live in the same universes because one, they were filmed in the same towns, two, they both take place in 1978, and then again, there's these two kind of elements of evil, of these different killing machines that are out to like destroy. I don't know if I'm totally sold on that conspiracy, but I do think that it's really interesting. When this film was released, it grossed $21 million in the box office, which was actually super disappointing to John Carpenter and to Stephen King. In the film as well, they had to add a lot of F-bombs and cursing into the script because there wasn't enough violence to harbor an R rating. This is 1983. PG-13 was not created until 1984. Therefore, this movie would have gotten a PG rating. Hearing that they added a bunch of F-bombs into the script too makes a little more sense to me now, because to be honest, there were some parts in the dialogue where it felt kind of, it didn't feel super unorganic, but at the same time I was like, this feels kind of forced.
Will you give me a fucking yes or no? Fuck you, bitch!
Fuck you, Arnie.
There are a few issues that I have with this movie. Number one is regarding how Christine is able to hurt and or kill people. Sometimes this is dealt with very, very literally, where she is either running someone over or crushing someone or something that is very tangible. Then there are other times, for example, where Lee is in the front seat, Arnie gets out of the car, and she begins choking on a hamburger, where that gets a lot more supernatural and to the point of like, okay, well, how is Christine making this happen? Because she's not actually doing anything tangible. In the film as well, they don't explain why Christine is the way she is at all anyways. It wasn't until I did a little more research behind the plot of the book versus the plot of the movie that I realized, oh, okay, I see where they took small concepts of the book where they applied them to the film but without any explanation. I don't want to delve super deep into this just because it could be a whole other video in itself, but there are quite a few differences between the Stephen King novel versus Christine the film, and one of the major ones is the origins of Christine. Now the film goes with the root of that when Christine was brought into this world, she just was the way she was. There is no particular explanation as to why she's crazy. Yeah. In the book, they are a little bit more literal with that the previous owner who had died is now possessing the car. So there's a little bit more of a direct connection of to why people are choking. They kind of cut those things out of the film, one, just because of time constraint for a film, but also two, I'm kind of not mad about that. I think the mystery behind Christine is a little more alluring, and also the idea of a man possessing this car that I didn't know this until recently, so I was like, what is some like dude possessing Christine? Like, I don't know, I liked the entity of like this female creepy over-possessing power driven thing. I like the feminine quality. Issue number 2 that I have is dealing with how Christine repairs herself. Now, there are some scenes where Christine is just like pissed, especially that particularly the end battle scene with Dennis and Lee in the garage. Yeah, there's moments where she's just like, back, let's do this. First I question like, why does she ever look trash if she can do all this stuff? But I guess I explained that for myself by saying, well, maybe that's her way of luring in Arnie about him investing his time and work and effort into her, and it just kind of creates that bond of like him recognizing her powers, but also him truly, he does in the beginning put effort into fixing her, and so I guess in a way that bonds them, but at the same time too, it's just like, was never really necessary because she has powers. So the third issue, it's something my boyfriend noticed. He was irritated by the fact that the windows are sometimes super pitch black tinted in some of the scenes where Christine is attacking people, and then other times when Arnie's just driving, they're like super clear. Okay, well, there's a super practical reason behind this. It is because there were stunt drivers driving during these attack scenes where you wouldn't want to like see the stunt driver, so they just blacked out the windows. The filmmakers though also decided it added to the like sinister effect of Christine and the look of her, so that makes sense too. But I can understand, I've read quite a few actually comments online saying people being like,
look, it's a mistake.
But it's like, no, it's not really. They just kind of had to do it as a practical thing to cover up the stunt people. So if you've seen Christine and you want to take a quiz, I will link it below. I found this really fun, awesome quiz online. Because I'm so obsessed and like trivia driven when I'm watching movies, I thought it was so fun to take this quiz after and see how much I was paying attention to the movie. Overall though, I really love this movie. I feel really invested in Arnie, particularly as a character, because his character development is just so roller coastery, because at the beginning you feel really, really sympathetic for him, and then by the end of the film you're like, damn, like, you a dick. So yeah, I really like that character development, and in general, just Christine as an antagonist is very interesting. Also, not to mention the fact that like Transformers totally copied the idea of Christine with the talking radio thing.
You talk through the radio? Actually, you do.
Unless there are origins previous to Christine that I just don't know about. I was like, dude, this is totally copied. If you haven't seen this movie yet, go watch it. It finally is on Netflix because I have been looking for this movie for real now for months. It hasn't been on any streaming services. I even went to the local video store that usually has like everything, and it finally just magically after the Halloween season popped up, and I was just like, oh my god. So go watch it on Netflix. So my question for you is, if you had a car that you were bonded with, like Christine, what model car would you be bonded with? It might have to be two options, either my current Prius, which is so lame, so to make it a cooler answer, probably like a 1960s Corvette, something like sleek and cool like that. Go watch Christine, take the quiz if you want after, and don't buy crappy cars that are possessed and are gonna kill your friends. Bye.